Learners, it's our platform. And then just to revisit why we are those values that we cherish as a university. So the the issue is we are a planning school, and CEO, we are the like we're talking about it. We said we're established in 2002, and we sit in now in the Faculty of Science, Engineering and Agriculture, and we are a premier planning school in South Africa because we are the only one. This is the only planning school that is rural-based, and it's also the only planning school in the Limpopo province. So we are a very important planning school, unique, and also we are offering the professional programs, like we said, accredited by the SAC plan. And these programs were accredited in 2007, 2013, 2018, and we are now due for accreditation in 2023. So we are already all preparing, and I'm sure come October 2023, we are going to see the CEO coming again to accredit this program because as you can see, it has got a lot of support, it has got a lot of taking and a lot of offering from the students and even from the lecturers. So we are actually occupying a raw niche in the planning fraternity. So this is our mission. We want to be a premier planning school in Southern Africa and also leading in engaged scholarship that is responsive to socio-economic transformation problem facing local, regional, and international communities today. And also our mission by integrating, creating multidisciplinary and community-driven solutions into planning practice. The planning school at the investor vendor, we offer students diverse opportunities to forge functional and intelligence linkage between theory and practice. So in all we're doing, we are trying to make sure that whatever we learn, we put it into practice. There's a lot in terms of practical work. Like I said, we've got three functional laboratories, four functional laboratory spaces being led by our senior technologists. So these are our programs, the BURP being the basic one, and then the MURP, and we also have the PhD program. And like the students are here and they want to see how they can be members of SAC plan. So in the interim, these are the members of SAC plan in the planning school, and so many, like you saw that pile. We want to see that pile growing of those students that are registering with SAC plan. So membership to SAC plan is very, very important for everyone. That's why we had to bring the CEO here so that he talks to you about membership, ask all those questions so that you become a member of SAC plan. And then our research areas, this is just a slide just to show you some of them. We look at spatial planning in metros, secondary cities, and small towns. We also look at livelihoods and ecosystem services, transport planning, GIS, remote sensing, municipal service infrastructure provisioning. We also have a component of disaster risk and risk reduction and urban development challenges, and also strategies to resolve all these items. So in conclusion, for this particular presentation, I'm urging everyone to say, let's take notes and let's ask questions. And also let's dialogue and collaborate, because what we want is to strengthen our position as a rural-based planning school. What we also want is to make sure that this particular planning school is visible, and it also makes a lot of impact, not only for the surrounding communities, but even in Southern Africa generally. So let's leave none behind, and also professional membership is key. So with this presentation, I just want to thank you. Thank you, CEO, for visiting us. I'm already giving a vote of thanks, but I'll always thank you even in the midst of your presentation. Thank you, Mari, for visiting us. And I think we feel at home, and this is your second home, and the vendors, we are so accommodative, and I think you have already seen it. And We just want to hear from the CEO himself. And over to you, Professor, over to you, to Mr. Martin Lewis. You can take over. Answer? Amanda.
Good morning, everybody. I've heard all the program director, HOD, I've heard all the postgraduate students and interns introducing themselves and saying that they are interns and postgraduates, but I didn't hear them say that they are candidate planners. Um, so I assume that they are. I've seen some of their names came through, but I hope all of them actually do become candidate planners. But thank you very much for the opportunity. And thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with Univen, to speak to students about SAC Plan. And there's a lot that I'm going to say. If there's any questions, the HOD said that you can ask those questions, write them down. I'll take them to the office and I'll give it to someone to answer. No, I'm joking. I'll answer that to you. Okay. Just get my, is it up? Okay. Sorry, I need to just go back one. Because you must see this. That's cool, eh? It's even opening and closing. Sorry, yeah, I just wanted to make you see that. So my presentation, I've got a couple of things that I'm going to touch on. I'm going to do an introduction, just to say about SAC Plan, who we are, what we do. I'm going to talk about accreditation. You've heard the HOD mention about accreditation, and we will be doing a visit later this year, so that you understand what does it mean to do accreditation, what does it mean for you as a student and as a graduate eventually. I'm going to touch on registration and the processes, very important. Take note of that, because I don't want you to come after a couple of years and say, but I didn't know. And then I would say, but do you remember I was there? I actually spoke about that, so please do take note of that. Continuous professional development, very, very important as well, and I'll just talk about when that would be applicable to you. Code of conduct, if you're a professional planner, if you go into the profession, there is a code of conduct that we work towards and that we must upheld, and that's quite important. Then just some general information and guidance, and maybe areas where you would be able to get some information. So SAC Plan is the statutory council. It is established in terms of the Planning Profession Act. In 2002, the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, they are busy with the amendment of the Act. They have been working on that for a couple of years. And we've also been pushing them to finalize certain things, which is quite important. So just some history. The council in its form originated in 1984 with the Town Regional Planners Act. And then in 2002, the new act came into operation. You can see there the change in the logos as time went on. So the act itself has got very specific things that it establishes. Obviously, some of our work goes further than just this, because we know that we are an organization, a professional body that needs to achieve certain things. But these are the main things that comes from the Act. I'm not going to touch on all of them. the Act established categories of planners. You've heard about candidate planners, I've mentioned that. Professional planners is another category, and technical planners is another category. It talks about the registration of planners, the recognition of voluntary associations, and then very important, the protection of the public from unethical planning practices. So it has been established to protect the public, especially from unethical planning practices, and that's why the Code of Conduct is so important. I don't want to see complaints coming in from any planner. I don't want to see planners at disciplinary tribunal hearings. Unfortunately, we do have that, but that's not something that I would like to see, because I know that we are, as planners and as people, need to work towards a specific level and a specific code of conduct. Professional conduct and integrity, that is there. So what do we do as SACPlan, the South African Council for Planners? We assure quality of planning education, or qualifications. That is why we do accreditations. We specifically go to specific universities that offer planning education in the country. A couple of years ago, SACPlan developed a motto, reinventing planning, changing lives. So a lot of the projects that we are busy with and that we have implemented and we are still going to implement is set for that. Let's see, how do we reinvent planning so that we can actually change lives? That's why I became a planner, because I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to change lives. And I think that's a motto that encapsulates quite a lot of what SACPlan is set for. I'm going to talk a bit about the composition of council. It's this body, and you're sometimes wondering, but where does it come from? Who makes up this council? This council is established by the Act. The Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, she appoints the members. And there's different areas where they are coming from the department, from education sector, from the private sector, from communities, from municipalities. And you can see that's the different areas where members are being appointed. So the members, as it is at the moment, the chairperson, Mr. Keta Zulu, he is the chairperson. He's also working at the Rain Gunyeni municipality. He has been recently appointed as a municipal manager there. So that is him. The deputy chairperson is Ms. Busi Novo. She is from communities. The alternate chairperson is vacant. You can see there Ms. Kosa and Mr. Kupele. They are from the department. Ms. Jacobs from the province. Prof. Magadimisha, Prof. Chikozira, and Prof. Sishlongonayane. They are from education sector. Ms. Mohangi and Mr. Monakedi from the communities, and then Mr. Dludla, Ms. Mohopo and Ms. Matemane from the private sector. Now, the council, as it's set up, everybody on council must be registered with SACPlan except for the 3 members from communities. That is not a requirement for them, but 2 of the 3 members are actually registered with SACPlan itself. Then there's an appeal board. It's an independent appeal board consisting of 5 members, and that's where they come from. Ms. Rabuli is the chairperson at the moment. Mr. Nelwamondo, deputy chairperson, he's a planner and a lawyer. Ms. Lee, Mr. Leo, and Mr. Veldhuizen, respectively planners and lawyers between them. But let me get to accreditation. So we do accreditation in terms of the SACPlan accreditation criteria. We also use the Council of Higher Education's criteria, that's CHE, and the Higher Education Qualifications Council, the HEQC, when we do accreditation. So there's a number of criteria, specific criteria that we looked at. So the SACPlan criteria, we're talking about 9 criteria that we then specifically look at when we do accreditation visits. We have visited 11 planning schools, so there are 11 planning schools within the country, the ones in Limpopo and the others in some of the other provinces. And there's a total of 18 planning programs that have been accredited for purposes of registration. These are the different planning schools. I'm not going to run through in detail of that. I will also share the presentation, HUD, that you can share with the students. But these are the different institutions that is offering planning education in South Africa. So when we do accreditation visit, we typically look at the facilities. We look at the course material. We look at your scripts, how it has been assessed. We would have discussions with you as students that you can provide us anonymous feedback. We have discussions with senior management. How do they see and where do they see the department? How do they see support to the department? All of that forms part of the process that we do through with accreditation. And I think it's the 22nd and 23rd October. Do I have my dates right? Yes. Okay. 26 and 27. I would have been earlier. Okay, now let's get to registration. Can I just get a sense of, with hands, those of you that are actually registered as either candidate students or candidate planners? Okay. I see that there's at least one person that indicated that they are intern, which did not put up their hand. I would expect your application soon. Okay, so registering as a candidate student or a candidate planner. I'm just going to go through the process so that you understand what that means. So firstly, a registration as a candidate student planner. If you are a registered student in an accredited planning program, now the Bachelor of Urban and Regional Planning program, that is the accredited planning program at Univen. So if you are a student registered in that program, you can then register as a candidate student planner. That's the second block. Then there's the graduation. You took selfies, you're happy, you enjoy, you have a party. Then from there you would be able to register as a candidate planner. And after your practical training experience and your appointment of your supervisor, you will then eventually go through to registration as a professional planner. Very, very important, when you submit your application as a candidate planner, you must also submit the name of your supervisor, because we go through a process where we then approve the supervisor to make sure that that supervisor is in good standing with regard to annual fees, with regard to continuous professional development, with regard to interdisciplinary matters, and that the person have got a minimum of 3 years post-registration experience, post-registration as a professional planning experience, so that they've got, we know that they've got at least a certain number of years of experience within the profession to be able to supervise you as the candidate. So becoming a candidate planner, again, celebrations, that's where it starts. You graduate with an accredited qualification. You submit the name of your supervisor with a minimum of 3 years post-registration experience. You develop a professional development plan with your supervisor, very, very important part of the process, so that you can plan with your supervisor how are you going to get to the registration. Those of the interns, if you haven't submitted your PDP as yet, please do submit that so that we can that can also be looked at, and that we know that you and your supervisor have got an agreement. We see that PDP as an agreement between your supervisor and you as the candidate, so that you also know what you want to achieve, how do you want to achieve it, so that you meet regularly, that you can then also know how to get to that registration. Then becoming a professional planner, it will start off with obviously you graduating and you're being registered as a candidate planner. Very important, you must register as a candidate planner. In terms of the rules, you must be registered as a candidate planner for a minimum of 2 years. And I'll speak about registration as a candidate planner, and as well as practical training experience just now. Then you need to undertake training in different categories. There's currently 2 categories, and those categories are being extended to 4 categories, but it's basically subdivided a bit further so that you can then get that experience within that, and it's a 24 months actual time, minimum actual time. You then submit your practical training report in the correct format. There is a specific format that we want that to be submitted. And then it comes into the council system. Now, how the process works within the council system, firstly, it goes through the committee support officer that checks everything and see if everything is there. Did you submit all the documentation? We do a verification of your qualification. If it hasn't been done already, normally we do it when you register as a candidate planner. We go through the experience. We see if it's calculated correctly. Is the experience relevant? Is it a proper experience? Is there a proper breadth of experience and depth of experience? We then also look at where did you work, and what type of work did you do, and did you actually grow in that experience? It goes to the committee. The committee then make a recommendation to council, and then council makes the final decision. So the applications, there's the application as a candidate planner. As part of that application, you must submit the name of your supervisor for approval. We cannot approve the candidate planner application until the supervisor has been approved. So that is in terms of the rules. Excuse me. You do your professional development plan, your logbook, and then you submit your applications on the signed form. Very, very important with the logbook, keep that logbook of what you are doing. Now, I know, Program Director HOD, that we are very special people as planners. I didn't hear a wow, yes, wow. But we are. But we cannot get more experience, time experience, than the time that we've actually worked. You can't get 3 years of experience in 1 year. It might feel like that, especially in your first year when you're busy and you're doing a lot of things, but you can't get 3 years in 1 year. Let me explain. And we actually do get that. So you work on 3 projects in a month. You claim 1 month for project A, 1 month for project B, and 1 month for project C, and it's 3 months in 1 month. No, it can't work like that. So that's why I say keep a logbook as to when you work on what project, how do you do that. When you work on that project, you schedule the time. You note the time to say, from this time to this time I worked on this, and then I worked on that, then I worked on that. And if you do that, then it's much easier to update your practical training report. Also do it continuously. Don't try and wait till the end and then submit something, then you're not going to remember. As part of the change that we've put in place is that every 6 months that you must submit something. It also assists in your supervisor knowing how you have grown, but it also assists in your supervisor signing off. Your supervisor might emigrate. Your supervisor might move to a different job type. They're no longer in planning. So that you can't find your supervisor anymore. Your supervisor can't get to sign the documentation. Make sure that you actually do that on a continuous basis. Very important, minimum of 3 years post-registration experience, and the person must be in good standing. Now, I'm not going to go into detail with regard to the practical training. You can read through this, but it's basically 4 areas: survey and analysis, your plan formulation, that's your more spatial planning, strategic planning, forward planning type of work. Plan implementation, that's more your land use applications. And then other types of planning work, that would be your transportation planning, environmental planning, etc., etc. You can see there, that's the different areas. their plan, policy formulation, strategic spatial planning. In category B, category C, your land use management. And category D is your environmental management, urban design, and those type of things. So this is the type of information that you need to submit as a candidate planner, and then as a professional planner. In your case, you will be registering as a professional planner, and that's the type of information that is required. All of this information is available on the website. Go and have a look on the website. There's a lot of information, and you can be able to get it there. Your professional development plan, very, very important that be completed. Your goals, where do you see yourself after 6 months, after 12 months, and so forth. And then the specific item areas that you want to achieve as well. And there, if there's any specific things that you would require from your supervisor, and or if you do have a mentor as well, any specific requirements that you would want them, or support that you would want from them. So once you have registered specifically as a professional planner, you can use a designation, PRPLN, and that designation says a lot. It says that you have completed a recognized, accredited planning qualification that meets certain standards. It says that you've gone through practical training experience and that you've got the experience to be able to do the type of work. It says that you can do the work independently. It says that you work under a code of conduct, that you would be providing your client or your employer with the best possible professional work that you can provide. So that is what that designation is saying. So it's a couple of letters, but it actually means a lot when somebody sees that. They don't ask you, okay, do you have a qualification if you do have a designation, because they know that you do have a qualification. Let me get to continuous professional development. Yes, you are now at university learning. You're going to finish off. You're going to get through your practical training experience. That's not where our learning stops. Continuous professional development is exactly what the word is saying. It's continuous. That's the definition in our CPD policy. It says that it's a systematic maintenance, improvement, and broadening of knowledge and skills, and it's ongoing, so it's not once-off, of personal competencies, is throughout a practitioner's working life. Everybody, even the senior staff that's here, they are every day learning and working and making sure that there's growth within their profession as well. Excuse me. There's different categories that you can get your CPD. So even now, go and have a look at that and start getting into the mode of especially planning, how am I going to achieve what I want to achieve. Those of you that are busy with your postgraduate studies, with your research, very important, see how you can do certain things that would enhance your studies, for instance. So that is a way that one would be able to do that. Then there's the SAC plan rules. It was published in December 2013. Make sure that you know what is in the rules. With regard to the code of conduct, with regard to if you want to open up a company, what do you need to provide to SAC plan, etc., etc. So very, very important. There's a lot of information there as well. Code of conduct. And again, I'm just going to touch quickly on this. I'm not going to go into detail. But this is what the objectives of the Code of Conduct is. This is what we try to achieve through the Code of Conduct. And we try to achieve that you apply your knowledge and skills to the interest of humanity, of the public, of the environment, and to ensure our natural and cultural environment is taken into account when planning decisions. So that is, it's not only doing an application. That application has got wide areas or touch points that it will touch on. It's not only the environment, it's also cultural, it's social. So it encapsulates quite a number of things. Work with competence, honesty, integrity, and so forth. Very important there as well. Respect the interest of fellow beings. There might be a make sure that it's not a conflict of interest. Disciplinary matters, what's the type of disciplinary matters that we do get? We do get disciplinary matters where we then investigate. In some cases, we then dismiss it. In some other cases, we actually act on it. We have actually deregistered planners because of the type of conduct that they have been in as well. Program Director, I'm coming to the end. Some general, there's new certificates. Well, not that new anymore, but it's fairly new. So have a look at that when you register that you do have the latest certificate, that you've got the new certificates. We do offer seminars. We have been offering seminars last year. We had online seminars with the Young Planners Forum event. And then also we had that as well. Website, there's a lot of information on the website, and I'll touch on some of the information there that you can actually use for your studies, looking for a job, and just some general information as well. There's a number of resources that is available as well. Newsletter, that is the typical way. AJD, we did also mention that when we met in SACPlan, is how we can get contributions from the profession and from students, work that you've been doing, postgraduate students. If there's work that you've been doing, small article, 1,000 words, it's basically 2 pages with some, you can add pictures and things like that, that you can then submit. Then there's the Town and Regional Planning Journal. We've, with SACPlan, have been collaborating with the Town and Regional Planning Journal, where we had special issues. We're currently working on the call for this year, for the special issue. But we had a call on the right to the city. We had a call on climate change. We had a issue on the land issue. So if you're doing research in that space, go onto the website. The Town and Regional Planning Journal is there, and you would be able to get a lot of information from there. This is what the registration certificate looks like. It's got a validity period. So make sure that you then update your contact details on a regular basis. Once you are registered, you can download your certificate from the website. You can log in, you can download your certificate, and it's valid for a year. That's the newsletter that we've got. Working on the newsletter. We did receive a submission from Univen, or somebody from Univen. Sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. So partnerships, you would see we've highlighted some of the partnerships, or one of the partnerships so far on our social media platforms. The South African Property Owners Association, the South African Cities Network, ISOCARP, International Society of City and Regional Planners, the Global Planners Network. So it's local as well as international, so that we make sure that we expand our horizon. In 2016, we held the ISOCARP Congress in South Africa, in Durban. I mean, there's a lot of things that came out of there. We had seminars that came out of there. We had international speakers over. We actually sent young planners to the international congresses. And we also gave bursaries from the ISOCARP proceeds that we got. Council for the Built Environment, MISA, LGCITA, and SALGA. So those are the partnership agreements that we've got at the moment. And those partnerships agreements are to make planning more visible, also to ensure that there's collaboration between the different partners. We are on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. There's YouTube. There's a number of YouTube videos of the seminars that we held. Go and have a look at that. And we also have Twitter as well. So if you like what you've heard today, go and like us. If you like Venda, go and like us. If you like yourself, go and like us. No, but seriously, there's a lot of information that we are providing through these platforms. We send out bulk emails with a lot of information. And again, go and have a look at our website. And there's, again, resources that you can access. There's research, new research that is uploaded there, international research. So if you're busy with your studies or are you thinking about a theme for your research, go and have a look at that. You would be able to see a lot of the either links or abstracts of these research. And that would then guide you and assist you in getting your research and the topic of your research. Madam Chair, thank you very much.
That's why we move it. Yeah, move integrate. Okay. So, CEO, is it possible for us to go for a comfort break and then we come back and then we go into action with our discussion and discussions and also the question and answer session for this particular presentation because we feel it requires a lot of debate because that is what is making us a planning. And I don't know how we can make sure that all of us come members today. Can we? Now that we are in the nice one. Thank you so much, CEO. So I think we can go for our comfort break and then we can come back. For our students, can you please remain seated and then we'll see what to do. Don't move so that we can maintain
Right, I think let's continue with the program for the day. Um, I'm sure others are still trickling in. They would. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Martin Lewis, the SACPLAN CEO, for that informative presentation. And I'm sure that most of us who are aspiring to be professional planners, you have been given a clear roadmap in terms of how you can actually register. And I'm sure there's quite some details that were presented there. I'm not sure, Martin, if later on you'll be able to share your presentation with us so that for the benefit, especially for those students who did not come or who did not manage to come to this workshop. Right, I noted quite a number of key points before we start the question and answer. I think what struck me was that the council has a very long history. It began in 1934, am I correct? 1984, yes. So it began in 1984. It has a long history. And I think it then took us in terms of how do you apply to be a candidate planner or candidate student planner. And then how do you then migrate to become a professional planner. I think all the requirements were spelled out. And what also struck me was the importance of keeping logbooks. You know, evidence is very important. When you get evaluated, that evidence needs to be submitted. And it is very important that you keep a logbook of whatever professional planning experience you'll be gathering. And then what also struck me is that SACPLAN is not working in isolation. The partnership arrangements that were presented there, it also shows that in terms of advancing planning knowledge or planning thoughts and practice, SACPLAN is also up there. And interestingly enough, there are 18 programs that are accredited nationwide. And of course, the good news is that we are one of them. Until the 26th or 27th, we are one of them. That's something that we should be proud of. And we are hopeful and we are confident that come the 26th or 27th, we'll be ready to actually be reevaluated again. Now, in terms of professional development, I think he also presented in terms of what kind of initiatives have been happening. That SACPLAN actually tries to promote, including the youth forum that he mentioned and other related initiatives. So to kickstart the discussion, before I allow the audience to speak, I've got a few things that I want to seek clarity from you. Right, the first one is in terms of professional registration. You indicated, and I firmly believe that it applies to our students, that for them to register as professional planners, they need to, first of all, register as candidate student planners. But if you then look at SACPLAN partners from other countries who are already registered in practicing planning, if they were to come and work in South Africa, do they really need to start to be candidate planners or they start at a different level? I think we need clarity on that one. And then the next thing that I would want you to respond to, we all know that you talked about the code of conduct. And we expect that our students, when they graduate, when they start practicing as planners, they also abide to the SACPLAN code of conduct. But we also know that in South Africa today, there's a lot of corruption which has affected many sectors, including the municipalities and us as a planning profession. So I just want you to share your experiences in terms of what SACPLAN has done to date to try and make sure that the code of conduct is enforced. Do we have people who have been disciplined, people whose licenses have been taken away? Do we have such facilities as whistleblowing facilities to allow that planners who do not follow the required code of conduct are punished. I'm actually mentioning this because recently as a department, we managed to train some officials from Ekurhuleni municipalities and other industry partners in terms of planning ethics, and we believe that code of ethics is very important. So perhaps let me allow you to respond to this before or should I allow everyone to raise questions? No, it's fine. At this stage, let me allow everyone else to make a contribution. It's a question and answer session, and I would encourage you to make your question very brief and straight to the point. I can take as many, because this session is a very long one. I think I have about 30 or so minutes. So let's engage. As they are compiling their questions, let me warn you, Martin, that this is a very participative group. They participate a lot, and even during classes, we really suffer. When we lecture, want to lecture on, they always stop us and ask questions. And I'm sure that we're going to receive quite a number of questions. Areas that might need clarification, perhaps if you missed one or two details, Martin is here to clarify. But, where's the roaming mic? I think I have a hand there.
There are actually questions on the YouTube platform. It's about 3 questions. The first one is, how do candidate planners who failed to nominate a supervisor but have managed to accumulate the minimum 24 months postgraduate experience get to register as a professional planner? The second question is, how do planners in the private sector register their firms on SACPLAN's consultant list? The third one is, why a professional applicant need 3 professional town planners with 4 years of post-registration experience to sign the logbook?
If you can slow down, Dr. Moffat, he's taking note of the questions. So
Okay.
if you become faster, then you might need some. Perhaps just go over them again. You got them? Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. The first question is, okay, I'm a candidate planner, just got my certificate, and I did pop up the champagne for celebration. Thank you. So the first question is, you mentioned that as candidate, we have to practice a minimum of 2 years. I want to know, what do you say when we, in the process, we end up finding, we sometimes find some other internships saying 12 months period, but the profession itself, it says we should get a training of 2 years. What is Martin saying when we end up getting internships that are 2 years, I mean that are 12 months and stuff like that? Then the second question is, how is SACPLAN reserving work for planners? And how is it protecting the profession? Since in the municipality, in the built environment, many professions do submit applications even if they are not planners. So I want to know, how is SACPLAN really protecting the profession? Thank you.
Right, while we're still waiting for more questions, let me acknowledge the presence. We just have new guests arriving. I want to acknowledge the presence of Vembe District Municipality and Tulamela Municipality. You'll be given, I think, when the time comes, an opportunity to introduce yourselves. But let me just see by show of hands the visitors from Vembe District Municipality. Thulamela Municipality. No, thank you very much. I think let's proceed. For our visitors, the SACPLAN CEO has just made a presentation in terms of what our students need to do to register as candidate student planners as well as professional planners. So he made a presentation. So currently we are discussing. It's a question and answer session. And I think you are also welcome if you have got issues that you want to ask or seek clarity from the SACPLAN CEO, you may also take this opportunity. So let's continue with the questions. I think let me take two more and then I'll give Martin to respond. And then if we've got more, we can go through another round. Two more questions?
How do you get into development and research as a career path?
Short and, or should I say short and sweet, or straight to the point? No, thank you. I will take one last one. For the first round, one last one. Anyone who is dying to speak? I know some of you have never spoken using a mic, a roaming mic. So this is an ample opportunity. Right, sorry? No, thank you.
Okay, I'm just asking on behalf of students.
Yes.
Or when I fail to apply for student under the administration whilst I'm still a student, and then I eventually graduate and succeed without the student how do I go about it?
Right, let me give this opportunity to Martin to respond.
So, the process so we do have the qualification policy that we have and then you get to follow so you would in such a case not need to go through candidate planner process depending on the number of years of experience. So the one thing and the qualification that so the one thing that is that your qualification must be evaluated by someone to a close match to one of these SACPAN accredited qualifications at the same levels. That's the first one. Second one is that that qualification must have been accredited by the SACPAN equivalent in the foreign country. Let me use an example. The Royal Company Institute, they accredit certain qualifications. The Nigerian Council for Planners, they accredit certain qualifications. If that qualification has been accredited in that country, then we would accept that as a qualification coming in. It must be close match to the South African qualification in the correct level, and it must have been accredited by the foreign qualification of that country. The next one is that you must have a minimum of 3 years of experience, of which 1 year must be minimum within South Africa. So that's the three main criteria. And then obviously the work that must be signed off, the work that you've done internationally by a registered person there, and then the work that you have done locally by a registered person in South Africa. So that's the process that we will then have to follow. And if you have not, if the country where the qualification was done does not have a SACPAN equivalent, the alternative route would then be through the recognition institution of private learning. But there you must show that you've got at least all the competencies that a person that have qualified in South Africa got, that you've got the required experience, and it's a whole lot of processes that we sort of, through RPL, we have only approved one application so far. We have another application that came in that the council originally did not approve. It went on appeal, it came back to us, and that's where we that we were. Then we got to the foreign policy. Policy also again available on the sector. Code of conduct, it's a very, very important part of what we do, and it's something that we actively do. We have since 2010, I think about 95 cases that we have received. In some cases, it would be frivolous complaint where objector objected against an application. The application is the objector feels grief, and now they want to get back to look at the plan. Obviously, you need to have a look at that type of complaints as well. But we very quickly see if there's a case, a prima facie case, and if there's not a prima facie case, then we would then do a report say no, it's not a valid complaint. If there is a valid complaint, we would then appoint an investigating officer. The investigating officer would then investigate the matter, provide it with a report, and then the recommendation, if the recommendation can either be no, we don't take it forward, or we take it forward. There's then a charge sheet, it goes to the disciplinary tribunal, and yes, we have at various stages, we have remanded planners, we have deregistered a planner, we have fined planners, so that is something that is specific there. It is an obligation of you as a registered person to bring any unethical conduct to our attention. It's in the code of conduct. When there is an issue, if you are aware of an issue, that you bring it to our attention. We've got a formal complaint process, but if you're a whistleblower, you don't want to be named, that your name be made available. As though you can submit that complaint to us. We handle that as such, as anonymous or as confidential, and we investigate the matter. So that process is there. And as I say, it is a very aspect of our work. And we have actually recently appointed another investigating officer. So the issue of a candidate planner without a supervisor, since this year, I mean it has been in the rules, but since this year the council indicated that we must enforce that rule, is that you must have a candidate supervisor for your application. The rules came in 2013, so ignorance is not an excuse. That is the principle that will apply. But if you haven't submitted that, then you have to registration in special circumstances. There's a policy on that where 3 registered professional planners in good standing with a minimum of 3 years of post-registration experience then signs off on your report, say that you are that they know you, that you are indeed ready to be registered as a professional planner. But remember, very important, once you register as a professional planner, it says that you can work independently. And that is what the supervisors then signs off on. Private companies, if you do have a private company and you want to have it listed and register, we do keep a register of private practices. Just drop us an email, we will then send you the information that you need to provide. There's a little form that you provide to us. We provide you with a logo, you provide us with a logo, and then we upload that on the second website or the listed in register. There's also an external circulars that provides the information that you need to provide to the letterhead. But if you want to open up a company, there is a procedure that you need to actually go through. You need to inform us of that within 30 days of starting that company. And if you want to have it on the website as well, we provide you with information that you provide us who's the planners working there, what's the registration numbers, which areas do you work in, which speciality areas do you focus on. That's the type of information that we provide on the website. Why 3 years and why 50 signatures? So that is the procedure that we have set out, so that there is at least 3 people that can vouch for. Because you haven't worked directly under a supervisor, or you don't have information of the supervisor that to specifically supervise you. The process that the council have set out is that you then would need three persons that are now that each side. But 3 years post-registration experience, that's what the rules say, but it means that if you've got 3 years post-registration experience, you typically have taken 2.5 years to register. So it means that you've got at least 6 years of experience that you are able to supervise them well, that you can provide them with proper information, that you can show them where the pitfalls are and what they need to do. Candidate 2 years minimum. So the rules say that you must be registered as a candidate planner for a minimum of 3 years. So that's the first part, and it looks to be a question about what you fail to register as a candidate student. If you don't register as a candidate student, you're going to sleep you're going to struggle to fall asleep at night, because you're going to wonder what's going to happen to me. I see these soft faces looking at me. No, so the sooner you register, the sooner you get into the system. When you register as a candidate student, once you qualify, you don't need to go through a whole registration process. You need to submit the name of your supervisor and submit the documentation, and you upgrade to your candidate. So it's a really good process, so you don't need to go through a whole application. If you do not register as a candidate student now, you will then register as a candidate planner, and then your candidate planner 2 years only start from the day that the candidate planner application is. What we normally say is that because we work with action time, it normally takes 2.5 to 3 years to achieve your 2 years of action time. There's certain times that you can be on leave, there's certain times that you will not get into family. So that's why it's so important to have a professional plan and that agreement with your supervisor, to know that most of the time. Work reservation, or work, that we refer to that as work identification. So there's a number of things that we've been doing, and you probably would not have seen or you would not know about it. Something that we would definitely do behind the scenes as well. So let me start at one place with regard to the amendment to the Act. We've been pushing the department to finish off the amendments to the Act. So it's their mandate, we can't amend the Act. We've been pushing them for a number of years. What we've done in the meantime is that we've developed rules that we published. We received rules on work identification, we published that. We received a lot of comments, some comments from planners and non-planners say, yes, it's a great thing. Some planners and non-planners say, no, we should have this. So that's what we need to navigate through. We want that, we want to know that it's only qualified registered planners and actually. So we've done the rules. The council is currently finalizing the responses to the comments that we have received, and hopefully we will be able to then publish very soon thereafter. So they basically done. There's just some extension that is required. What we've also done is we've written to the president after the statement. We've written to the president with regard to the importance of qualified elected, to the minister. We've written to the director generals, the head of departments, to the MMs. We're actually busy now with the process of following up on the letters to the MMs. And we've seen a lot of things coming out where applications for employment, there's a requirement. We pick up that there's not a requirement for registration. We actually looking balloting. When there's tenders being submitted, we look at that as a requirement. See that. But we see these things are actually happening, and that's part of our partnerships that we've got, is to make sure that through our partnerships that we stress these. How do you get development and research as a career path? Straightforward. Become a lecturer. No, so there's a number of opportunities that would be there. So specifically, if you want to go into the research part, there's educational institutions that would be one. There's institutions such as ACCC, etc. Or there's a number of international bodies involved. Or as a private in a private company, you can focus on certain that is specific places where you would go. But what I would then also recommend is make sure that you go through your master's and PhD. Because as soon as you've got that, then the opportunities open up to these institutions where you will be able to. And it's not only local, there's internationally, there's so many. One of such institutions, and there's many others. So that's what I'm what I want to suggest is as part of your professional development plan, say this is what I want to achieve within 3 years of this and then jot down that path. If you want to go into research, make sure that you've got if you want to say the capacity, the capability, that would be through your own research. Getting part of that. I think I did say about the film candidates youth for those that would be struggle to go to sleep locally. When you struggle to go to sleep, that you then would give attention to studies. Read, write your research up.
Thank you, Martin. I've been told that we are doing very well in terms of time, and I'm also hopeful that even our students are doing very well in terms of registering to be candidate planners. But are there any follow-up questions? Dr. Moffat, you can also check the social media platform. If there are more questions, we just go through the last round. So those who have asked questions already, if you have a follow-up question, you are also allowed to do so.
Okay. So the question that is raised here is that why is SACPLAN silent on a SPLUMA regulation that allows the owners of a plot of land to lodge town planning applications themselves instead of giving all the powers to town planners? Thank you.
Any other question or follow-up?
Thank you so much, Mr. Gondo. We just want to know if it is very expensive for our students to register as student planners. Maybe if they know how much it is, they'll also be encouraged, because I don't think it's much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mine is in relate to SEC plan. We've got recently the issue of personnel employed in the local municipality government institution who are also doing private work. Just want to check if it's allowed, where you find a town planner working in Makado municipalities, for say, for example, lodging applications in Tulamela municipality. So I just want to check if in terms of SEC plans allowed. Thanks.
Any more questions? I also have one, Martin, and I think this one is more important as it also affects the viability of SACPLAN as an organization. There's the issue of employability of graduates, and you find that almost all of our graduates, they register candidate planners, and I know that the responsibility for making sure that they are employable starts with the institution that is training them. But some of them, they stay in the market there for quite some time, not employed, but they continue paying subscriptions to SACPLAN. I've heard some who have been threatening to say that we need to stop paying subscriptions because SACPLAN is not helping us to get employed. So I just want to hear your comments on that one. I'll take one last one for this round. One burning one. I guess the questions are all exhausted. I'll give you this opportunity, and then we can close this session.
This one relates to the schema regulation. Say that one thing that I've always been saying to municipalities is that you can, as part of the environment, say what should be signed off by which profession. And I, as an individual, can submit my own building plan, but that building plan must be signed off by an architect or that got the relevant information it can. By submitting the documentation, those should be qualified. Documentation consists of two things. What I've been saying is let's make sure that your motivational memorandum, your layout plans, those type of things are actually signed off by the registered person. We've got that where if you've got a layout plan, the outline will be signed off by the engineer. So why have the actual layout is by the registered plan? That motivation, is it motivated in terms of legislation, in terms of it meet all the requirements that is relevant within the planning framework? The principles mentioned in school. And that's what we say. And there's certain municipalities that have done that. Ekurhuleni has done that. You cannot have an application that is not signed by the Queen has got something. There are municipalities that actually do that. Major metros that is doing that. Some of the other metros are actually looking at those things. So that's what we've been saying. We as a body, our can be independent by doing that. Unless if a conduct to do that, because you can't be the participant and the referee in an application. It's for us very, very annual registration fee, and it consists of annual fee and registration fee. And then the annual fee is 55 rand per annum. That's checks now from the 1st of April, it might go up because of the new financial year. That is, yeah. Then just with regard to employability, we on a continuous basis do upload uh, jobs that becomes available on our jobs portal. But once you register, you've got access to that jobs portal. I think there were actually yesterday I was uploading positions. I uploaded probably about 9 or 10, 11 perhaps positions. It's done on a weekly basis. So go and have a look at that. There's internships that has been uploaded. There's candidate planner positions, there's institutional planner positions, there's even. So have a look at that. What we also have is a register of recent persons, and we are in discussion with some of the visitors. A couple of years ago, as part of the South African Planning Education Research Project, we have developed, as part of that, we have developed a proposal that we did submit to government, and I will be submitting that again to COPTA, where we are looking at a typical type of in-service year type of process, where if you go through typically we've got financial support, and you then provide us with a community service year, similar like what the doctors have got. But that's what the proposal is, the proposal that we have sent. We've been trying to engage that to make sure that we will.
Thank you, Martin. Colleagues, I think you would agree with me that this was an interesting session, very informative, and also it was spot on in terms of addressing the various questions that we had. I know that the questions might actually be popping up, but we need to close this session, and I would encourage that in one of the interactive sessions, whether it's lunch and so forth, feel free to approach Martin and ask for more questions. And one take-home issue is that receive the presentation that he gave us today. So, Program Director, before I hand over to you, let me now ask colleagues to then clap hands to Martin for this wonderful session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gondo, for handling this session very well. I think what stood out for me is the kind of questions that we got, particularly from our students, which really shows they were attentive to the CEO's presentation. I just want to acknowledge the presence of our industry partners. CEO, I think Mr. Gondo already highlighted that we have officials from Thulamela Local Municipality and Vembe District Municipality. They are our living labs. We have been working with them for a very long time. Colleagues, I think this is your chance to introduce yourselves and which department are you coming from? Are you from VDM or from Thulamela? I will start from the first, that side, yes.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Good morning. My name is Ntakazeni Ramabanda from Bembe District Municipality. I am a Deputy Manager in Spatial Planning and Land Use Management. Maybe just to highlight the responsibility or duty that we do in our offices in Bembe District Municipality. Most of our duty is in spatial planning, in land use management. We support our local municipality. Mostly we promote better spatial planning practices through gathering and sharing spatial intelligence in the development of tools such as guideline and practices notes. Maybe just to edge with the students here to say, it's very much important for you to be part of SAG plan because most of the time, all the time, when you apply for the post, SAG plan is one of the requirements that we check the most. So you should always make sure that you are always in good standing. To be in good standing is for you to renew your registration annually, because I can also attest and say that I'm also a professional town planner who is in good standing as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you again. Morning. My name is Nefmeme Parero, Chief Town Planner, Tulamela Municipality. Tulamela Municipality is the one of the local municipality which consists being four under district municipality as our core or our district starting from province, then district, we falls under district municipality. So like most of the issues she has already indicated, the importance of registration with the SEC plan indeed is true. In all the work-related issues, either you are practicing privately or independently or need to be employed in the built environment, you need to register to be registered. That's what they require mostly. So as a municipality, we are the one who are charged with the function, overall function of the planning management in terms of land use, where we are charged with the overall development, where we assess development application, charged with the development of policies that we develop to manage or regulate this beautiful town that we have. And also in trying to make it look like where we having issues for future in it. So we embark in such. It's our office, of which we've got a good working relationship with the investor vendor, where mostly when we develop our policies and our plans, we work hand in hand. They give inputs in our IDPs, SDF, in mostly in all of the policies that we deal with it, we engage with the university. And also in the issue of skills transfer, we do assist mostly with the I think in people who are also in third year or in fourth year when they want to do their researches around our jurisdiction. We do assist. Our offices are always open. We've got eligible town planners. They will introduce themselves, who always available with a good smile of assistance. So you can pop up anytime. They will assist with whichever questions that you have in relation to the town planning profession. They will assist in your researches in most of the issues. They will assist. Also, I'm registered.
And yeah, that's it for now.
Thanks, Program Director. I'm Munengwa Chikambezi, a registered professional town planner from Tulamela Municipality, who is in good standing. I won't repeat everything that have been said by my senior there. I will just add some few things to say. Recently, we have signed off the new bunch of professional town planners who were sent to us as candidates by the Treasury. So now recently we have appointed the new ones, 5 of them. 2 of them is here who have just introduced and the guy next to me. So it's 5 of them. So I'm the one who's currently supervising them since I'm good standing and I'm a registered professional town planner. So as for the rest, it's the same as what my manager have just said. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Raslawi Rodney. I'm a candidate town planner at Tulamela Municipality. I'm working under spatial planning. We are assessing town planning applications and other town planning related issues in building plans. I'm a proud graduate of University of Venda, and my message to my fellow students is there is hope. Town planning is a good discipline. Thank you.
Thank you so much, colleagues, for your very informative introduction. Then later on, I'll give each of you a chance to say one or two words. Perhaps you have something for our students. You also have to say something also even to us as colleagues and also to our CEO. So I'll give you a chance to speak later on during the program. I've just received an apology from the South African Planning Institute representatives who were supposed also to be part of this program. They said they are on their way, but may not make it in time. So which means we are moving on to the next item, our South African Sweden University Forum International partner, Professor Murray. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, and morning to everyone. I'm very pleased to be here. I've traveled far, and actually I live some 10,000 kilometers away from here. And English is not my first language, so please bear with me. In Sweden, in Gothenburg, where I'm from, we speak Swedish. So I have some slides to share with you. Yeah. So my name is Marie Tinell. I'm a senior advisor and associate professor in peace and development research at the University of Gothenburg and Chalmers Technical University in Sweden. And you may wonder what a social scientist is doing here, because I'm not a planner, I'm not an architect, I'm a social scientist that has focused on city development and also on the development of sustainable transport in modern cities, and hopefully in the future also sustainable cities. Well, the area of peace and development originates from the idea that without peace, we don't have a development. And without development, we will not have peace. So there is a logic here. All right. You see a NASA map of the world, and it is a fake picture in the sense that not all the globe is having nighttime at the same time, so it's put together. But it shows clearly what we traditionally call the developed parts of the world and the underdeveloped parts. The underdeveloped parts, they don't use that much electricity. So that's where we have deserts, and we have the South Pole and the North Pole, which is not in the traditional sense developed. Of course, the natural environment in those places are also very sensitive, so I think we should be happy that they are not overcrowded and overdeveloped. But it puts a finger on what is a sustainable development and how could that be achieved. I've been teaching at the School of Global Studies something that we call global cities and sustainable cities for quite some years. And basically there are a number of concepts that you're fully aware of that we've been dealing with for quite some time during the 20th century. The modern city, the global and networked city, the sustainable city, where is it? And the smart city, is there any? The global cities, they appeared as a notion in the 80s because there was a qualitative shift in the role of a number of quite big cities in the world, they started to take a lead on a global level, and of course international. For me, international could be in a region, but global is of course a global thing. So globalization has given some cities the role of organizers of global economy, and this appeared time after the Second World War, which sort of reorganizes political and economic forces around Europe, but also in other parts of the world. We also had the Cold War, and that developed two nodes that later on sort of seemed to disappear, but now we live in a changing world again. So yeah, they are upcoming, but perhaps with another content. We just saw the other day important meetings between Russia and China. And the Chinese cities, they have their way of development, and Russia has also followed the global city, and Moscow, I would say, today is becoming a global city. Anyway, the emergence of global cities is due to increased specialization in finance and business activities, including political leadership and services. They are also dependent and building on highly advanced infrastructure support and technical development, because they are interconnected and they are alive, so to say, 7-Eleven. They don't go to sleep. Important parts of the global cities don't. They are also innovative centra, important resources for research and technical development. And the cities themselves, you can think of Johannesburg, which is a sort of a global city, is also a market for pivotal companies and their products. And just don't think about American global companies, although they were known first because they were well organized early on, but today we have other huge companies as well. Well, by and large, Africa is the last of the huge continents being urbanized, and we have the huge cities of Lagos, Kinshasa, Johannesburg, Dar es Salaam, perhaps Luanda, and others coming. And you look at this, so the population forecast, according to The Guardian, this is from a newspaper, the tipping point is estimated to be 2035, when the African continent will be quite densely populated. So you can see here in 1950 it was not urbanized, but it would possibly be urbanized to 60% in 2050. So we have a challenge for you here. Asia, they have been called the motor of the world economy during the 80s and 90s and around 2000, but they will probably not keep up that track. But they were, their population was growing rapidly, and the cities in Asia were developing. Also, sometimes the 22nd century was, well, 21st century was Asian centuries due to this enormous economic and population increase. We have Europe here. Yeah, it was urbanized, so to say, long ago. Latin America, it was urbanized quite early on, but is also growing. And yeah, Oceania, North America was perhaps the most urbanized continent early on when it comes to where do the majority of the people live. The notion of global cities was coined by a Dutch scientist. Her name is Saskia Sassen. And the analysis of the global cities focused on economic and technical structural changes, spatial changes, of course, and also thorough social changes. So what then is a global city? Well, it's a huge urban area with some 5 to 15 million people, like, for instance, Mumbai, Mexico City, Lagos, Shanghai, Sao Paulo. It is a well-known city. Usually you don't need to say the country where it is situated. You can just say Hong Kong, and most people would know that that's today China. Or Amsterdam. You don't say Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Say Amsterdam or London. They are often old financial centers like Singapore, London, also Frankfurt, although Frankfurt is a sort of tiny city in relation. They have advanced systems for communication and transport, like Tokyo and Singapore, because they need to be well connected internally as well as globally. Some of them host famous cultural institutions like New York, Paris, Bangkok, Seoul in Asia. And they need various kinds of elites, both in businesses, politics, economics, and so on. And some also are important religious centers. Tehran is such a center, as an example. Rome, of course, it has been a very important religious center, and is still, but it's not the role model as it has been in history. The global cities, they have strategic roles in the process of global change. And their countries may not be that important, but the cities are. And then you could perhaps think of Buenos Aires in Argentina. Everyone is asking what is happening outside of Buenos Aires in Argentina. Well, not that much, because they have focused all their resources on developing the capital cities. Often it is the capital city that is a global city, but not always, but it is often the case. So, what do we gain by this notion? We do get information about the global economic order, how things are changing, and how these cities are adapting to new circumstances. Because there are global structures. Often it is seen in regional development, that they are nodes, but they are also nodes, like on the African continent. Just one example here. When the attack from the Middle East was in New York, the effects of that attack was striking lots of countries outside of the US, because they attacked a global finance center, and then repercussions were tremendous. We felt a lot of changes related to that. Also in Sweden, that doesn't really, Sweden has 10 million people, and it's a bit off the road from the US, but still, such important center has the possibility of widespread effects. We can also see on this level that there are new inequalities emerging in the world. I won't go into that, because this is a long story, of course. The global cities, that's also a field of research, in case someone is interested. And I would say that the writings of Saskia Sassen and how she has developed during the years is quite interesting. And from the economic point of view, her husband, Richard Burdett, works in London and is writing on this also. So I could just say that in case you're interested in. Well, related to this change in the role of cities in their national development and also globally, we see important social changes. And I'm a social scientist, so I would just say something. First of all, here on top you can see that there is some kind of definition of what urbanization is, and a professor from Columbia University, Sclair, he said, well, urbanization is a complex long-term economic and social physical process that could be planned. Not always that easy to plan it though. And urbanization is the special expansion of the built environment. That's usually how we perceive it. A dominant demographic trend, an increasing shift from the agrarian to industrial services and distributive occasion. This was another way of looking at it. And the social changes we see through the lens of gentrification, lifestyle differences, social segregation, and also how we plan connectivity in cities by means of transport systems or different kinds of mobility. Could also be IT connectivity. May lead to social inequality or not. Depends on how they are distributed and maintained. So we see economic divides in all these city developments. I just say something about the sustainable cities, which is what we usually refer to as the SDG 11. I won't go into that and define it because you have it there, and I think that works well also in courses and for studying. I put it here, and I'm sure you have discussed it beforehand, so I just leave it like that. Well, just a comment, sort of a historical one, that Rome wasn't built in a decade. Rome, it took some 5 centuries to get from 50,000 people to 1 million inhabitants. But the modern cities, as we have experienced in, for instance, Asian country, and maybe it will be also happening in Africa, I don't know, have grown that much in 2 or 3 decades. It's quite impressive, but of course, if you plan cities and build them that quickly, they don't have the same qualities as cities that develop during a very long time. But I find it interesting to look at the old cities in the Middle East, Northern Africa, how they adapted to the natural environment. Because today, the global cities and the modern life, the attractiveness of modern life, it's related to flows of money, flows of power, but it's not that much connected to the local environment. And that's what I think sustainable city is taking us. The huge cities in the US, for instance, in the 50s and the 60s, in the golden age of the US, they were growing. Take Los Angeles with the highways and the endless city. That became sort of a dystopian idea that everywhere we were going to have this very large, extended cities or human settlements of different kinds. And they were going to eat up the globe. So that was a sort of a fear that this is not a good development. It needs to be planned, it needs to be taken care of, it needs to be governed. And then, of course, we had the rise of the coastal cities that were threatened to sea level rises. There was the Katrina in New Orleans. All these sent sort of messages around the world that we need to think in other ways. We cannot just put all the people in cities that doesn't really relate to the natural environment in a good way. So from there on, there has been a rethinking, taking in resilience, urban resilience. I'm sure you're tired by these notions that no one really knows how it plays out in different cities. But one example is that the informal cities, the slum settlements like you can take Mumbai and Dharavi, all of a sudden, these places that were sort of giving horrors and fears were seen as, yeah, these are the sites where we have creativity, ingenuity, and where people try to find ways to survive and develop their communities. So maybe we should look at them. Maybe we should see how these people deal with the challenges locally. So this is where resilience came in and really took on and turned out to be sort of an interesting adaptation. And that was a development that started not that long ago. But that's also where we are today. It's sort of in the peri-urban or in the informal settlements that were seen as not wished communities. They are now sort of taking a lead. How do they develop? Because the other space is already occupied. So there is quite a discussion around this, which I think is very interesting. I also believe that some cities could sort of leapfrog. They don't need to go all the way around. They could just look at good examples. That's what we can make use of in a global society and also in international partnerships. Right. I would now just say a few things about a strategic collaborative network with universities in East Africa that we have also at my place of work. We have the SASUF, International Partnership, an exchange between North and South in order to learn and gain experience from each other. And this last year we also developed this strategic partnership with the countries in Eastern Africa. It was financed initially by a Swedish Foundation for International Cooperation in Research, the same as SASUF has also been financed by this, but they just finance initially and then you have to move on your own, finding resources. In this part we have Ethiopia, that is then in the Eastern Africa, Ethiopia, Kenya, Mozambique, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Uganda. And that partnership is divided in 6 thematic work groups. Air quality, a big topic. Most of the people in today's world live in a quality of air which is bad. Data-driven ICT, food and nutritional health, sustainable energy innovations, hot topic everywhere, fresh water quality, and sustainable transport. And transport is more and more seen as a way also of managing big cities. How do you improve connectivity between groups of people, and how do you make them enjoy quality and services available in cities? How do you increase accessibility? That's why we're in cities, otherwise we could just stay disconnected if we didn't want these services and qualities. Well, I'll finish with this, and I'm bringing up an old scholar called William Shakespeare, who already in the 16th century said, "What is a city but its people?" Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof, for your informative presentation. I think I liked how you were characterizing the cities, the modern city, the sustainable city, and so forth. And I think that's what stood for me. And when you were also able even to give some examples of the different characteristics within those cities, the finance city, and so forth, I think that stood for me out very well. So it's now the time for us to have the question and answer session. I hope our students, you were taking your notes, and I know you have 1 or 2 burning questions that you may want to seek clarity from Prof. So, colleagues and students, let's raise any questions that you may have so that she can address them. So whilst people are still, jotting down their questions, Prof, I just have one question. What lessons can we learn, particularly from South African cities? Because when I look at Sweden as a developed country, when you look at now urbanization, it comes with its own challenges, increase in energy consumption, crime, informality, and so forth. What lessons can we learn from Sweden as planners in South Africa? Any questions? So that we can, yes, Mr. Gon.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that wonderful presentation. I will also ask for it if you can share with us later on the presentation itself. Right, I have a question, but I also speaking like a person who has been in Gothenburg before. I know the environment in Gothenburg there. I've been there before. But when we were talking about global and networked cities, especially when we started talking about the issue of informality and what can actually be learned from it, I also had a similar thinking when I had experiences in Turkey, for instance, in Istanbul. You'll actually find that there are a lot of informal buildings that are there. And the current thinking is that instead of seeing informality as a problem, it could actually represent a solution to the housing issues where the formal structures have actually failed to provide. But now, in the light of what happened recently in Turkey, the earthquake, you'd actually find that the most affected people staying in informal structures, informal buildings, as opposed to the formal ones. What's your take on that? That's my question.
And probably to, sorry, you want? Mine, it's an observation that what we can learn from presentation. Mary talked about a global city, but here we are in Toyando. We are in Toyando, ne? Toyando is a small town in South Africa, but we are still enjoying the space and we are happy people, even when we are not in a global city. So can we really say a global city as a concept, it's highly contextual, or we can talk of a local city where we can actually make everything happen and it can fit into what we term probably what we want it to be or what we want it to provide. And it also goes on into the theme for SACPlan, which is saying reinventing planning and actually changing lives. So for me, localization or globalization, as you may want to term it, is highly contextual, and we can even talk of a global small rural town because it's servicing not only Toyando town, but even the other peri-urban areas and villages. We can even talk of a local rural town, very much localized, rural, with everything, including spatial planners, like what you have seen in the presentation. So in a way, can we come up with a new concept here that can actually suit our own context? Thank you.
Yes, Martin.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the presentation. Just not. Oh, you can't hear me. Okay. switches off then. I've got a comment and probably a comment question as well. So I think the first is a comment, and that relates to the importance of having global south or southern research. I think there's a lot of northern research out there that talks about cities and the development of cities and how cities grow and things like that. And I think the importance of strengthening that research group of research within a southern context, and specifically a South African context, is quite important. So I think it's good work that you are doing. My question also relates to what the HUD have said, and that's to do with the, I'm going to say, African city. Because the way that we see cities, the way that SACPLAN, the way that I see transformation, for instance, relates to transformation of space, transformation of the mind, transformation of practice, transformation of communities. There's actually a paper that was written by myself and Professor Shlanganyane on that, and I can share that with you as well, is how do one actually bring that into our local context? Because we don't want to have a copy and paste of a European city or an American city or an Asian city. We've got very specific, I want to say, treasures that we have in our cities that we need to keep as well, so that when it come to the development of a city, that is also strengthened. And I think it's also important that the research write that up, that can be made available to our researchers. Thank you.
Smart.
But I didn't get a second question. I didn't get
For the HOD.
Yeah.
The HOD said, how can we localize this issue of global cities in
Yeah.
our own
Ah, yeah.
rural towns, such as Doyando? Yes, I think that was the major thing that came out.
Yeah. And here, yeah.
Yes, which was also more or less similar to what
Oh.
Martin asked as well. So you can answer.
So thank you for your questions. I will begin with this about informality, because during decades that was seen as something very difficult to manage and how to deal with this, or perhaps just take it away and build some modern city and so on. But actually, with the connectivity that we have seen through internet, the informal cities, they have taken steps forward, and as I mentioned, they are now in many places seen as the, first of all, of course, the place and the space that could be used, but also what comes up in ideas. They are often locally placed, although informal areas, they have contacts with each other in neighboring countries or in other parts of the world. So instead of a problem, they are seen as contributing positively to the future. And the earlier idea to just take them down and forget about them, I think that is, yeah, that is an old idea which is no longer strong or even dominating. I think that is gone, because the way space is used and the activities, I mean, that instead has become an example in many places. I've been working in Jakarta for 4 years, and Jakarta, Greater Jakarta hosts 30 million people, and half of them live in informal areas. And I mean, they are really taking the sustainability aspects to their heart and develop small gardens. There are lots of rivers, there's a lot of water, and that was seen to be the old canals that the Dutch people made there. They were seen to trying to take them away, but instead they have turned them into leisure places when they are not flooding, of course, because they are also. So they turn the concepts around and look at the informal areas instead of turning the head another way. So hopefully the discussion will be powerful, and also institution. If we want resilient cities, we need them to be resilient on all levels. We need strong institutions. So we do need the planners, we do need the politicians, but we need them to connect and to look for other solutions than traditional ones, in many cases. Yeah, and then Dr. Invani asked about small places, what can we learn? Yeah, there is debate around the sustainability, what could be taken care of in this place to increase and to make the transition to a sustainable city. I think we're in that time, and time is running out. In many places of the world, I don't know the state of art in this green, lovely place, but I know that the threats from climate change, they are real. So in order to spur the transition and push for sustainability, what do you have locally? What could be used and what shouldn't be used? I mean, to rethink perhaps the concept of development. Yeah. And you asked about.
No, that's fine. So I made the comment about the importance of growing the body of knowledge of research within the South. And then mine relate very much to what the HOD said is with the African city, where we've got a very different thought about and experience about what a city is within our local context. And those treasures that we've got, that we don't lose that in trying to copy and paste in European city. So it was basically more two comments than really a question.
Yeah, thank you. I think there are these possibilities of leapfrogging, looking into experiences in other places, and that, no, we don't go for that. We will have something, develop something which fits the local conditions and the cultures here. So I can just take one example from the small city of Gothenburg, where we now are discussing how to get people out of their private car. Yeah, how do you do that? Which is not that easy. So one example that has been taken up is that if there are less cars on the streets and we need less of parking spaces, we could have these pocket parks, perhaps, more of them. And people in the neighborhood could enjoy the area more than just being afraid of the private cars that drive quite quickly. Do we need all this traffic work? So that's one approach to making the city more livable. Yeah.
Thanks, Prof. I'll take the next round of our question and answer session. Students, please, let's have questions. This one. You have been too quiet in this session.
Thank you very much, Prof. Mary. Um, yeah, I actually enjoyed your presentation, and it was very insightful and very educative in terms of when we look into internationalization of global cities in different countries and providing examples of such kind of cities and their characteristics. So basically what I noted on your presentation were various kinds of cities that you outlined. There were smart city, global and network city, sustainable city. So while you were talking about those cities, I was thinking about other kinds of cities that we can contextualize in terms of global cities. So my comment is just to add or just to elaborate on the importance of the concept of city in terms of when we look into compact cities, walkable cities, forgiving cities, and such kind of cities in terms of walkable cities. So can we also contextualize the global cities within countries that are still developing? Because currently what we are seeing is that global cities are found in developed countries. So can developing countries also grow their cities to become more global competitive, or more global growth, like growing globally? Because sometimes the ranges from population from different cities varies from different countries. And in terms of looking into mega cities and small cities, so those kind of hierarchy of cities, in terms of our African continent, have you seen other examples of cities becoming potential for global recognition in our African continent? Because most of them relies in the Western or European countries. Yeah, my comment is just getting there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mawelole. You want to respond to yours? I think he was just commenting. Can we have the mic?
Yeah, thank you. Well, the modern European or US cities that we saw, they really took off the way they were planned and developed in relation to the first industrialization and the way that production was organized. I mean, if you have production in an agrarian society, people live close to the area where they work. But in this case, when industries moved to cities, that sort of remade the cities that earlier on were for a lot for trade and small workshops. So that could take place in small city villages. But over time, when wealth were created, they started to grow around with boundaries and walls, walled cities of different kinds. Political power came to it. So in case you look at the European history, the development of cities, I mean, during a couple of thousand years, it's quite easy to trace. So where we have ended up today is logic in relation to the historical past that we have. Yeah, so I think this is a quite interesting way of reading history, actually, looking at city development, because they reflect the need of a time. Yeah.
Thanks, Prof. Colleagues, I think I can now close this session We can always engage with Prof during lunch, afterwards and so forth, if you have more further questions. At this time and moment, I would now like to call our representative from Zembe District Municipality, Mr. Nemfumetsi, to say one or two words to our students, perhaps expand. I see you're pointing someone else. It's Nepfumembe. Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Mr. Nepfumembe. Let's clap hands for him. Students, please, let's continue to take our notes and so forth. We have a brief, also question and answer session afterwards.
Thank you again. Thank you, Program Director, and also CEO of SecPlan. We appreciate your presence. It's of good assistance. You have already assisted us as Tulamela Municipality by answering some of the questions which it was a thorn in a municipality. Really, it shows that indeed this SEC plan it's alive, it's active, it's assisting. However, we still need you to assist these coming graduates in a sense of protecting the profession by means of ensuring that the planning work needs to be done by professional planners. Some of the professions, like your doctors, you can't practice a doctor without being a professional, a medical doctor. So we need to guard also our profession, because we realize mostly it's the profession that you will find the surveyors, other architects. In a way, they can even make town planning applications. So we can the implement opportunity of our planners. You see, we've got beautiful future planners in waiting. So if we don't guard against this profession, it will become like other professions that, not to mention their names, you will see they are no longer viable in the environment that we are in at the present moment. Also, I would like to appreciate University of Venda also for having us. We encourage you to continue strengthen this relationship that we have. Also, ourselves as a municipality, we are open in working hand in hand with you in assisting also skill transfer to our future and upcoming planners, so that we can have a future, a good working environment and a good viable cities. I'm happy the CEO indicated that they have returned a letter to the president. It was so embarrassing to see the president indicating that we don't have good quality professional planners. Hence, we've got our SEC plan. Who knows the number of registered professional planners who are in their database, who are in the local government, who are in all departments. Hence, the president indicated that we are lacking as a country. So I'm happy you've intervened and write a letter to indicate that we are there. It shows that indeed our profession is there and it's working. So to our town planners incoming, who are still student candidates, this is a good field profession which needs mostly professionalism. You need to uphold mostly the professional code of conduct, since it's the environment which has a lot of internal forces which might, if you don't uphold the professional code of conduct, they will come big to you to, they can even revoke your professional if you are not upholding the professional code of conduct. So it's very much important to uphold those code of conduct and not to act against them, since they've got the rights and powers to revoke your professional registration. So it's of good importance to uphold such. So this is a built environment of which mostly you need to, is the one that when making decision, you need to ensure that we don't, in all the plans and the developments that we need to bring in, we should avoid mostly the adverse impacts on the environment. We know slightly the environment will be affected, but we should always make sure that we don't make that major impact. So actually, that's what I wanted to indicate as a Thulamela municipality. So our offices are open during office hours. You can visit anytime for assistance, questions. I think we are doing great on such. There are most of the students who we have received their letters requesting to do studies within the municipality. We are working hand in hand, even providing information that you require to assist in your learning. So you should not shy away to knock in our doors. During the introduction, you had Womne Wachika also indicated that he is assisting. So partly as part of skills transfer, like you already indicated, we've got an agreement with the National Treasury, of which they are assisting in capacitating or ensuring that the upcoming town planners be registered as a professional planner. So we've got an agreement of which each and every financial year, in a period of 3 years, we do have the training students or candidates planners where we should take them this route. It's got stipend in a way that you'll be getting in a way while we are in a journey of becoming a professional town planners. Like he indicated, we have just signed off, if not 10 of the professional town planners who we have signed, and then they've been approved by the SEC plan as a professional planners. Where I'm sitting, I think they are already starting practicing. Some are being employed somewhere, some are practicing independently. So it shows that we are doing good, and yeah, you can count on us. Thanks, Program Director. I forgot to also acknowledge the presentation by our international partners. It's an eye-opening presentation, of which also us as Thulamela municipality is assisting, trying to open up. We do have our vision as a municipality to say we want to become a city, even though I think we might shift the goalpost due to issues that, due to way we see things unfolding, we realize or the goal that we have chosen, we still a lot of things that we're still lagging behind to achieve such, where we are saying we need to become a city or to achieve a city status by 2030. We are trying to revitalize our city, revitalize our industrial area. So your presentation in a way of a smart city, it's also assisting us to say what is it that we need to do to take our Toyandu and other smaller nodes or our nodal point to become an urban in a nature. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I would have called Ms. Rama Banda also as a representative from VDM to give a presentation, but she said she would just add one or two things to what he already said, because isn't it, they are always working together every day. So Ms. Rama Banda, and then afterwards we have
Thank you very much. Good morning, students. Good morning, colleagues. On my introduction, I forgot to, to say I started here as well under the supervision of Mr. Gondo, Mr. Mshiana, as well as Mr. Chakuziri. I want to give you a very brief story. When I enrolled for this course, I didn't know what it was. I never chose it. My sister chose it for me. When I come here in a first year, this other guy who was in environmental management, he used to tell me, when you are doing this course, you'll always carry a bag with rulers, pencil, and whatsoever that Mr. Mshiana requires you to carry. I didn't know what I was going to do when I graduate. When I go to work, I didn't know what I was going to do. So, on my second year, when we were doing that Mr. Mshiana course, what is it again, student? Is it urban design? Yeah, that course. I used to hate it so much because I was not good in drawing. And we used to fight so much with Mr. Mushian. But you can never tell today that we used to fight because he never loses hope when it comes to you students. The reason I'm telling you this is because I'm saying for every course that you'll be doing here at the university, whether you are drawing, whether it's research from Mr. Gondo, you'll use it when you're out there, when you are working. You'll remember that day when Mr. Mshiana was telling me to sleep in the studio, I was supposed to sleep the whole week. Because one day you'll be a manager, one day you'll be a chief town planner. How are you going to approve or assess a building plan whereas you don't know how to draw? How are you going to motivate a report whereas you don't even know where to start when it comes to research? When Mr. Gondo gives you a work that requires research, you always go to others that have graduated for them to do it for you. It's very important for you to be yourself and learn whatever that your lectures are telling you. You'll remember these lectures when you are meeting Mr. Gondo inside that bus when he's going to his home. You'll just say, I should have done better when I was still in school because I'm struggling so much where I am and I feel like I can go back. This story of mine, I'm just telling you that I didn't choose this course, but if I was given an opportunity tomorrow to say, go back to grade 12, what am I going to choose after that? I was still going to choose the very same course, the very same town planning, because it's very broad. It makes you very smart when you're out there. You don't only work in the municipality, you can also choose to be a consultant as well. You can choose to be so many things. There are so many things out there that you can do as a town planner. So for you students, when you are here, you are very fortunate. You are not lost. You haven't done the wrong module. This is the perfect module. To SAC plan, our CEO, we are having so much challenges. The implementation of Spluma has come up with so many challenges that we are facing in our tribunals. Every time when I'm sitting in Collins Chabane Local Municipality Tribunal or Tulamela, there are always questions that need SAC plan, but we don't know how to tackle them. So when I was sitting there, I was thinking, if Univen can arrange to have a small and wonderful session like this, is it going to be difficult for me to do it for Wembe District Municipality, to do it for our locals, as well as our consultant, because we are always fighting in our tribunals. We never come up with solution. We never approve application because there are so many challenges. The implementation of Spluma itself, they've come up with challenges that we have never faced. We are just facing them now. So my appeal to SAC plan is maybe one day you will see our letter from the district requesting you to join us in the session that we'll arrange. Maybe the problems that we are facing in our municipalities, in our tribunals, it will be resolved. So with that, a very small story, I say thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ramapanda. I think this is now the time for the question and answer session. Let me check how much we are doing with time. So let's get some questions from students. Are you tired now? Let's get some questions. You don't want internships from Chulamela? Why are you not asking? Yes, Mr. Gondo.
No, thank you very much for the two presentations that have been made. But what I want to, mine is not a question, it's a comment. I'm actually seeing what we teach our students in class actually happening in practice. We tell them that planning practice there is never smooth. You always face challenges. But one of the interventions that needs to be done is to engage your professional body because they are part and parcel of the evolution of planning knowledge, either from the ground or at various scales. So they mentioned that SAG Plan will be invited to some of the sessions. I think it's a very welcome idea so that all minds are put together and the implementation of Spluma becomes smooth. Thank you.
There's a question there, that side. You can press the mic which is near you to ask. What is it? Maybe she's, any other questions?
Thank you so much, our living labs, because for us to be able to practice planning, most of our practicals we work with the local municipalities and also with the district municipality. So maybe I think what we need to come up with is probably Vembe. Can you organize that Khoro where we can even invite a CEO? CEO, can you please give us your word? If we invite you, please do come. And probably, Mary, you should also be packing your bags and come back again for that particular session. Because from what the industries, the partners in industry are saying, it shows that we still have to sit down again and work on Spluma and try to find out how best we can make use of Spluma to the fullest, because when Spluma was instituted, it was meant to redress those gaps. And from what they are presenting, it shows that we still have issues with Spluma. So it means we need to sit down again and probably come up with another Khoro round table. How best can we move ahead? How best can we forge ahead? Because Toyando has to be a city, probably a global city by 2030. Yes, we have faith in the system and we believe in ourselves. So global city 2030, So it means, CEO, we have a lot of work to do here. Just give us your word on this one. That, and a small promise. And if you promise, I know you will come back again.
Being put on the spot. No, I think the, for me, obviously the importance is for SACPLAN to support. We have been communicating with the department to have a specific session on the SPLUMA amendments. They did have sessions across the different provinces. I'm sure that they had one within Limpopo as well. I'm not sure. They indicated that they had with all the provinces. And it's one of the things that we did request them, please, we do need to have a specific session with SACPLAN on SPLUMA. So if there are those challenges, there's some that we might know of, some that we might not know of, please send that through so that when we do get that we can actually take it up with the department to say, this is a typical type of thing that the industry is experiencing and challenging with in SPLUMA. If need be, we also need to, from our side, when we do accreditation visits perhaps, is to see how can we strengthen the training of graduates to be able to grasp with these challenges. But obviously there's other things which actually require amendments to the Act, that requires amendments to the regulations. So yeah, definitely SACPLAN would always be ready to come and participate if called upon. Yes.
Thanks, Martin. There's a question that side. Let's just take that one before we close the session.
Thank you. I'm not sure if it's okay to actually refer back to the presentation that was done by Dr. Mari. The beginning of the presentation, you showed us a global thingy where you outlined some of the countries that were actually not developed, and you said it to be quite a good initiative because then it's not concentrated by people, right? And then the whole plan of planning is to actually ensure sustainable development. So my question is, us moving towards sustainable development, especially in South Africa, having the challenges of past apartheid area systems where development was actually not spread equally across the globe or across South Africa. So, and knowing that South Africa is actually a developing country, are there any strategies that you feel like we can implement in South Africa that you guys have implemented to ensure sustainable development and development that will actually be able to take us further and solve the problems that you're having in South Africa that you feel like we are not actually implementing at the moment?
Thank you. Well, I'm not that well acquainted with all the parts of South African politics and how things are in South Africa to be able to really answer your question in a very good way. But when it comes to the cities in Sweden, I can say something about the kind of informalities that is taking place in very well-planned cities. For instance, in the 60s and 70s in Sweden, we had some golden age, you can say. It was the expansion of the welfare state, and it was planned into detail by some means of social engineering, you can also say. When it comes to residential areas, how people should go to work, what time, flows of people going here and there, and also distribution of aspects of life when it comes to education, health, and so on. A general increase in wealth, you can say, and based on equality and the participation of all. Well, that was decades ago, and today we have these very well-planned suburban areas with very nice apartments to live in, well working, and owned by municipalities. But in the outer areas of cities, we have problems with governance, and we have people that say, no, but don't listen to the state. Don't, for instance, take the COVID vaccine because your genetics will be changed, you cannot have children, and all this kind of fake news. So there are certain things taking place that no one foreseen. And I believe you cannot plan in detail when it comes to people's behavior, what they do, what they want, and how they project their future. But you can leave it open. So I would say that in the outer areas of cities, we do have problems related to governance. And perhaps you've heard of, we also have criminal gangs that try to kill each other. Actually, they do also. So we have shootings, high level of shootings in Sweden the last years. And the police is trying to keep up with this. They fail. It's related to drugs mostly, and it's not directed to the common families. But still, it's bringing a lot of fears. So I believe that if you don't incorporate the outer parts of cities into governance, into the benefits of the people that live in the core of the cities, I think you will have a problem, although you plan it neatly, but you also need to be in contact with people and not just plan top down and think that it will work like a clock, like a machine, like the modern city was sort of believed to do. That kind of things has proven to fail. So that's just one experience is from they are not really informal areas, but they become more or less informal on their own, disconnecting from the rest of the society. When the young people don't feel that they are part of society, they sort of develop other things and go somewhere else. I know some groups in my city actually, who says that alienation is our nation. We don't belong to the Swedish state. Alienation is our nation. I think that says a lot.
Thank you so much, Prof. I think before I call Dr. Ingwani to give us the vote of thanks for the day, I should just highlight that both the sessions I really enjoyed, and they were very, very informative, I think, to everyone in this room. I really liked how, the CEO came in, explaining, point by point, the processes of registration, particularly for students, and then how Prof came in giving her global perspectives of cities and urbanization. And also I liked how Mr. Nimfumembe now came in to give us, an account of what is happening on ground. And lastly, the way Ms. Ramabunda also gave an account of her experience here as a student and what she's experiencing in the industry. I think that also stood out for me very well. Can we just clap hands for both sessions that they were very But when Martin asked how many are registered planners, I saw a few hands. But how many are in the process of registering for SAC plan? Perhaps you submitted the forms. Perhaps you just received the forms from Mr. Mshiana and so forth. How many are in the process? Just raise your hand. How many have filled in the forms? How many have submitted? How many are awaiting outcomes and so forth? First years, yes, I know, not yet. Oh, yes, yes. They are still sorting out their, yeah, okay, yeah, because I know a large number of them, they are still in the process and some have already filled in the forms. Okay, so I think at this moment in time, let me call our HOD, Dr. Ingwani, to come and give us a vote of thanks before we go for lunch. Doc, the stage is yours.
Once more, good afternoon. I don't know what to say because I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed with happiness to see that the Khoro, the great minds, are actually giving us a lot of output beyond what we expected. Firstly, I would like to thank the CEO SACPLAN, Mr. Martin Lois. You spared this great time for us from your busy schedule. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of the planning school at the University of Venda for gracing this occasion. I'm sure we have learned a lot. And we even learned beyond SACPLAN membership. We moved into Spluma, cities, and all those things, which shows that the issue of SACPLAN is not a Nyana thing. It's something that transcends boundaries. And we really want to make sure that you even honor their invitation. We even honor more of our invitations in future. Let's just put our hands together and say thank you, CEO. Secondly, I would like to thank our international partner, Professor Mari Painel from Gothenburg University. I know you traveled a long way to Univen. And like I said, this is home to you. We want to thank you for coming. You can even easily change your surname from Painel. We can give you a vendor one, and then you stay here. Yeah, there's so many surnames. We've got the Netfu member, and we've got the Mbedzi. Can you say Mbedzi? Just say Mbedzi so that you know they are the surnames in vendor. And this is home to you, and we thank you for your presentation, and we have learned a lot. And if I was going to, if I were going to teach the first years this year, I think you escaped. There was going to be a question on the types of cities. Definitely, you were going to request for Mari's presentation. And whoever is teaching first years, please make it an exam question. Yeah, Dr. Moffat, we'll sit down. That one, what is a global city? Using relevant examples, how can we make Toyando a global city? You know, sustainable, that one is gonna come. Either it's coming as a test question, a mid-semester test question, or it's coming at the end of the year. So please beg her for the slides. Are we together on that one? Let us just give a round of applause for Professor Mari for the presentation. Thank you. Wow, our beautiful product, Vembe District Municipality. Thank you so much. You know, Mr. Gonde has been saying, I taught this girl. I told him, no, she's no longer a girl. She's a manager, Wena. And you see, CEO, how we are making progress in terms of changing lives. Professional planners. Now we have managers from our own hands. And it's something that we need to even climb on top of the library about and even say, this is our product. Thank you so much, Vembe District Municipality. Thank you for being our product and for shining on behalf of the planning school. We are so proud of you. I'm running short of words because I'm so overwhelmed. Vonop member, our living lab, the local municipality, definitely she's going to come. She's got questions already. And like he said, they always assist us in research. We want to thank you for coming and for supporting this department in many, many, many ways. And they're always there, short notice, long-term notice, you see them. Tulamela, even our for the interns, whom we are hosting, thank you so much. Even some are at Vembe District Municipality, some are there. More are coming, and you can see your role is actually changing lives in terms of how you are making future planners. We'll continue to invite you at every other moment. And so many of our fourth-year students are working on topics that are under your jurisdiction. The two of you, definitely are going to see them. So let us just thank them because we need them more and more and more. And even to say so, he's another graduate. Even Vompezi is also part of the planning school. So almost everyone. And it's something that we are proud of. Tulamela, yes. Yes. They are our products. Yeah, you see now, institutional memory. And I just want to thank our students. I know I will come to my team. It's gonna be the last. Our students, I'm so proud of you. I think this is one of the best. In fact, it's a planning school in South Africa. You said we are 9, eh? Yeah, this is the best. And I'm so proud of our first years, our second years, our fourth years, even our postgraduates and they are always there on call. Please come and meet the CEO, please come and attend, and definitely they will enjoy that test on cities. Ne? Yeah, that question that is coming, they will enjoy it. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for participating for those questions, and even for showing those beautiful faces. And I know definitely one day, because we are the old generation, you are going to take our spaces. You get what I'm saying? So keep on pushing, keep on pushing. You are the future in terms of planning. So thank you so much. Just say thank you to the one next to you before we clap hands for each other here. Say thank you for coming. Yes. Now we can clap hands for you. My team, our team, my team, our team, the staff members in the Department of Urban and Regional Planning. You may think we are many as 20 or so, but we are not all that many, but we are many in so many ways in terms of collaborating and working together. Thank you so much. We've got a lot of young blood, and they are behind all these arrangements and whatever. You have seen them moving up and down. And let's just thank ourselves for even being there for the students and for even making this thing a success. And Miss Mashangu, thank you. You are the face of the department. She has been behind organizing and making sure that our guests arrive on time, transport, tickets, and whatever. And I think you are not yet done from the message that I got from Dr. Moffat. You still have an item. I know you are always like that. You have a big heart, and you are the first of the department. We want to thank you. And I know you service everyone, including our students. Now you can come, and I'm so humbled that you are always there for us. And even at times we text her, how about the car for Professor Mari? How about the CEO? Who's gonna, and she's always there for us. Thank you so much, Miss Mashangu. Can you just come and do your last item? I don't know who's gonna assist you, but I know you always insist. We haven't done this, and I know you want to do it. Please come and she wants to, you want to say something? You can come over here if you want. Or you want a mic? You want a mic? Okay. Anthony, Miss Mashangu wants a mic.
Afternoon. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, our guest, Prof. Mari, Mr. Martin, the CEO, our colleagues, the students, and the local municipality, Tulamela, and the Bembe district. You are welcome. I'm going to render our small item. I want to call you upon to come. I want to give you the small token of appreciation. Ramabanda, come to the fore. Nefumbembe, Mbezi, Rasirabi, Rasikanya, come.
She wants a photo with you. Yeah.
Now I'm going to call Prof. Mari to come the floor. Mr. Martin, come to the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Mashangu. I forgot to say thank you to our communications department. Yo, where's Anza? Ah, shame. But let us just give them a round of applause because ah, you are wonderful. And please, we are going to call you again. I know you are going to respond and say yes. May you please say yes now? Yes. Thank you. Maybe before we leave, we need a group photo. I don't know where we can have the group photo. Brightness, and this is one of our lecturers. Where is Brightness and Miss and Dr. Moffat? Where can we have the group photo? Because we need a group photo. And then Miss Mashangu will also give us an announcement in terms of our lunch and stuff. Yeah, for the students. I know we could have, I would have brought a cow, but then the problem with the cow, we couldn't find someone to remove the head, and the pots were too small. And so Miss Mashangu just said, okay, since we can't have someone to cut the cow or to murder the cow, we can now opt for something that is sustainable and something that is also global, something that is also can change us to be future planners. When this doesn't work, this must work, isn't it? So we need a group photo. Mr. Quartis, how can we go about the group photo? Because we need a group photo. Maybe we can have it here. If we take these chairs and then we put them here, and then everyone stands, we can have one group photo with the students. Does it work? Yeah. Let's just have a group photo. I don't know. And if someone takes the photo from here, I think it must work. We just bring together ourselves, and we want to make sure that our partners in planning, our partners in industry, they are also closer to the guests. And please, you need to be very much visible because when we make this report, we're definitely going to say partners in industry, and that's something SACPLAN is very much keen about. And probably while you are waiting for Mr. Quartis and the team for the group photo, my last question is, please let us register with SACPLAN. Or maybe I should just ask someone, wow, what have you learned? Yeah, I know they don't like it. I will volunteer you. If you don't want to volunteer, I will volunteer you. What have you learned? Where is Anthony with the mic? Yes. Just give it to anyone. I'm closing my eyes. They must close their eyes, but not postgraduate students, not those that have spoken before. Now, it's either you save your colleagues or you save yourself. What have you learned? Hands up. Either way, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you this mic. Yeah, give that lady. She's actually this one. Yeah, she's looking back because she wants to distract you. Just give it that one. What have you learned? Just one word, not many. One word. Yeah. What have you learned? Thank you, sweetie. Just say yes. What have you learned? Yes. One word. One. Huh? I'm a planner, man. Huh? I'm a planner. You are a planner. Yes. Well done. You are a planner. Let me find a boy. I want to hear. I am a planner. That one, that one. He has been taking notes. Yeah, that boy. Just give him. Yeah, yeah, give him. Yeah. What have you learned?
Okay. Okay, I've learned how important it is to register a SAC plan. Yeah, and I would like to encourage all of you to register. Uh, yeah, that's okay.
You're hiding. Are you hiding? If you try to hide, then I'll volunteer. At the corner there. What if we are waiting for the group photo? Outside. Okay, it's fine. Just what you are going to be the last speaker. After you have said something, we are going to dismiss. So you see how important you are. What have you learned? One word.
Before I comment on what I've learned, I would like to ask a question. Just one. So, since we all know that planning is mostly influenced by politics, I would like to ask that what is it that SAC plan is actually doing to protect planners, mostly especially in municipalities? Because as much as they are planners, but they are being governed or being led by politicians. And it is hard for them whenever maybe their leaders or their bosses make demands and be like, approve this plan, while it is not applicable for them to approve it. Yeah, thank you.
All right. It's coming as a question or it's coming as a new Indawa. I think we need to organize an Indawa on planning and politics. Thank you so much for that. Otherwise, our guests, the NEP member and crew, can you please also move first before our students and also the CEO, Charlotte and Mr. Mshana. We move and then we wait for the next, what do you call it? So that we can move for the group photo. You get what I'm saying? Please take all your belongings and check what belongs to you. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Sorry, I just got an announcement from Ms. Mashangu. Students, you can remain here. She's still waiting for the catering team to deliver your food. So let's go for the group photo first.